Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here with a review of Bobby The Brain Heenan. This is the DVD release that came out back in 2010, is what it says on the back. Maybe it was 2011. There's not a lot of flash that comes along with this DVD. Honestly, it doesn't even really have a name like the Roddy Piper set, Born to Controversy, or even the Dusty Rhodes set, The American Dream. This is just plainly called Bobby the Brain Heenan. I mean, that's it. We're of course watching this because of the death of Bobby Heenan. He finally passed away after living a long life, battling off throat cancer, and really becoming a very small image of the man that he was. I had the chance of meeting Bobby the Brain Heenan WrestleMania 31 weekend at WrestleCon in San Jose, where I bought his book from him. This DVD right here is one that I added to my collection for my friend Danny. He got out of the world of wrestling. He wanted to sell off his DVD collection. This is one that I didn't have because at the time, WWE had a deal where they were uploading their DVD releases straight to Netflix. And much like the Big Show documentary that came out at that time, Bobby the Brain Heenan was uploaded the day of release right to Netflix. I already had it, so I watched it, and there's no reason to run out to the store and buy a full-price DVD. But this is a DVD that honestly never really reduced in price, like secondhand market like Amazon. I always wanted to get it for less than $10. I can't remember what I paid Danny for this one, but I probably got a good price on it with him getting out of wrestling and just wanting to move some of his stuff. For some reason, whether it's because Bobby just died, $50 is about the cheapest you can find this on Amazon right now. I watched this, honestly, on the WWE Network. Really short documentary, 54 minutes, lots of very good Bobby Heenan clips in there, something that you need to make you smile when thinking of him passing. Of course, lots of stuff about his family in there, and his wrestling career. It was a good documentary, definitely not in the top 10. Very rare WWE makes a documentary without including the person if they're still alive. But we do get to see clips of his wife as well as his daughter talking about Bobby Heenan, the family man, and what his wife thought he was going through, especially during his days in WCW. We've seen lots of wrestlers come on and bury WCW for what it was and what it did to a lot of people, breaking them down, but never really had somebody's wife come on and bury a company before, about being misrun and people being mistreated and things like that. But Bobby Heenan's career started in the AWA, managing the Blackjacks, as well as managing Bockwinkel and Stevens to the AWA tag titles. There he was known as he wasn't Bobby the Brain, Bobby the Brilliant Heenan, I think is what he was calling himself. He wasn't the Brain until he came to WWF, although he did talk about him having a brain. Just the right nickname wasn't in the right place. Bobby Heenan, started doing the Weasel gimmick. It was sort of something that Gene Okerlund got started doing promos with him. In the AWA, he figured out that being a manager, he could lead himself up to wrestling in matches against the babyface and sort of letting the babyface get their shots in. And this was something that really drew houses and really caught the attention of Vince McMahon. Vince brought him in to the WWF, and a lot of guys around this time that came to the WWF from the AWA basically just quit on the spot and left. The AWA had always asked that you give 6 weeks notice, and Bobby, who was loyal to the Gagne family, Did the 6 weeks, worked all the way to the end, and then reported to work for the WWF. Once coming to the WWF, he was there to manage Jesse the Body Ventura, who he managed for a short time until Jesse's body was starting to give out. On the DVD, it said his legs and knees were starting to give out. I always heard that it was Jesse's back, but I'm not 100% sure. He went from managing Jesse the Body Ventura to managing Big John Studd, which led to the WrestleMania match between Big John Studd and Andre the Giant. The $15,000 body slam match that Andre won by body slamming the Big John Studd, where Andre grabbed the bag of money and started throwing the $15,000 out into the crowd before Heenan grabbed it and ran off with it. While in the WWF, the Heenan family grew, managing names like Ken Patera, WrestleMania 2-star King Kong Bundy, Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, King Harley Race, the Islanders, Hercules, the Red Rooster, the Brooklyn Brawler, lots of big guys. One of the biggest moments that he ever had was managing Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 in the Silver Dome in front of 92,000 people. Of course, Bobby Heenan and Andre the Giant came up short that night. But it took until WrestleMania 5 when the Heenan finally grabbed gold with the Ultimate Warrior beating Ravishing Rick Rude, beating the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 5. We sure to show the transformation of Bobby Heenan into doing All-American Wrestling as well as Primetime Wrestling with Gorilla Monsoon, becoming a color commentator, sort of talking about the world of wrestling and being able to show off his quick wit, getting into sort of the world of acting, where he, was able to push wrestling into the forefront, I guess you can say. Heenan has always been one of the guys that was looked at as more of wrestling action, but bringing a laugh to wrestling, finding a way to get people over. They show a clip from the 1992 Royal Rumble where he does one of his best jobs of all time, talking about Ric Flair in the match. And at one point, it was Jake the Snake Roberts grabbed Flair and was about to hit him with the DDT, but Roddy Piper came running up and delivered a clothesline, knocking down Jake the Snake, saving Ric Flair. And at that point, Bobby Heenan talks about how much he's always loved Piper. And the man wears a kilt, not a skirt. And then almost immediately, Piper starts delivering some punches to Flair, and Heenan turns heel on the man immediately, talking about the fact that this man wears a skirt, and he's always detested him along the way. Vince McMahon describes that in 1994, when Heenan left the world of WWF, it was because he was looking for a challenge. He maybe wanted to move into the world of commercials. But when he left the WWF, it ended up being WCW that called, basically saying that he would work out of Atlanta. He would work a shorter schedule. He would be able to be home more. And Heenan ends up taking the job to go to WCW. His daughter was going to school in Alabama at the time. The drive from Atlanta to Alabama was short, and he'd be able to be around his family more. So he ended up going there, where he ended up becoming the voice of WCW on WCW Nitro, as well as working WCW Saturday Nights and working a few of the B and C shows along the way. In 99 is when Heenan got sick, and I don't think he ended up being released from the company until 2000. But they talk a lot about the fact that Heenan was unhappy, mistreated. There's been lots of rumors of Heenan, I guess you can say, being under the influence. You can go watch one of the Road Wild pay-per-views to figure out about that. But a very, very great career, capped off a very short documentary, but a very good one. If you're like me and you just want a good laugh, Thinking about the good times Bobby Heenan gave us in the world of professional wrestling, I highly recommend that you go check this one out. If you don't know a lot about Heenan, but hear a lot of people talking about him, this is what you're looking for to add to your collection. Honestly, look for this one on the cheaper side, or watch it on the WWE Network. Honestly, the little clip that was run on Monday Night Raw about Heenan was pretty much plucked right out of this documentary. So there's more on here to come. So I appreciate it, you guys, and I'll see you guys down the road.